Picture this. You've had the longest day of your life. You're so exhausted that your eyelids feel like they weigh 1,000 pounds. Your body is screaming for rest. You finally collapse into bed and then… nothing. Your brain suddenly springs to life like it just received an espresso injection directly into your neurons. Welcome to one of biology's cruelest jokes, the sleep paradox. You'd think that being extremely tired would guarantee instant sleep. It's logical, right? The more exhausted you are, the faster you should fall asleep. But our brains, it turns out, don't always follow the rules of common sense. Instead, they sometimes trap us in a frustrating state that sleep researchers have dubbed tired but wired. Or as one scientist charmingly calls it, twired. This isn't just an annoying quirk of human biology. It's a fascinating window into how our ancient survival systems can sabotage our modern need for rest. Today, we're diving deep into the neuroscience of why your brain sometimes refuses to let you sleep when you need it most. To understand this paradox, we need to meet the two main characters in your brain's sleep story. Think of them as an odd couple sharing an apartment, constantly negotiating who gets to be in charge. First, there's your sleep homeostasis system. Let's call him Steve. Steve is basically your brain's accountant, meticulously tracking how long you've been awake. Every second you're conscious, Steve accumulates a chemical called adenosine, which builds up like coffee grounds in a filter. This adenosine buildup creates what researchers call sleep pressure, your brain's way of saying, hey, we really need to shut down for maintenance soon. Then there's your circadian rhythm system. We'll call her Clara. Clara is like your brain's internal clock, obsessively keeping track of time and deciding when you should be alert or sleepy based on evolutionary programming that stretches back millions of years. She's influenced by light, temperature, and social cues, and she has very strong opinions about when bedtime should be. Normally, Steve and Clara work together beautifully. As adenosine builds up throughout the day, and as Clara's clock approaches nighttime, they both agree, time for sleep. But sometimes, a third character crashes the party uninvited, your stress response system. This is where things get interesting and frustrating. When you become severely overtired, something counterintuitive happens in your brain. Instead of becoming more sleepy, you enter what neuroscientists call a hyperarousal state. It's like your brain's security system has detected a threat and decided that now is definitely not the time to be unconscious and vulnerable. Professor Matt Jones from the University of Bristol explains it perfectly. As you stay awake longer and longer, the neurons in your cerebral cortex, the outer layer of your brain responsible for complex thinking, start firing more and more frequently. It's as if your brain is a car with its engine revving higher and higher, but someone has simultaneously applied the brakes. Here's where the cruel irony kicks in. Yes, adenosine is still building up, creating genuine sleep pressure. Your body is genuinely exhausted. But your brain's excitability has reached a tipping point where it actually starts working against the very systems designed to help you sleep. The key player in this biological mutiny is a tiny cluster of neurons in your brainstem called the locus coeruleus. Think of it as your brain's watchtower. For you to fall asleep, the guards in this watchtower need to relax and stop scanning for threats. But during hyperarousal, they remain hypervigilant, keeping their searchlights on full beam. What's happening at the molecular level is even more fascinating. When you're in this overtired but wired state, your brain becomes a chaotic symphony where different sections are playing entirely different pieces of music. Your adenosine levels are high. That's the sleep pressure we talked about. But simultaneously, your brain is flooding with noradrenaline, a chemical that screams, "Stay alert!" Your cortisol levels remain elevated when they should be dropping. It's like having your foot on both the gas pedal and the brake at the same time. Research using brain imaging has revealed something remarkable. When people are sleep-deprived, their amygdala, the brain's alarm system, becomes about 60% more reactive to negative stimuli. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, which normally keeps the amygdala in check, becomes less effective at its job. So not only are you tired, but you're also more emotionally volatile and less able to regulate those emotions. Your dopamine system gets scrambled too. The receptors that normally help you feel satisfied and calm become less responsive, while the ones that drive seeking and alertness ramp up. It's as if your brain's reward system is desperately searching for something, anything, to fix the situation, but it doesn't quite know what. But why would evolution design such a seemingly dysfunctional system? The answer lies in understanding what extreme fatigue meant to our ancestors. For most of human history, being severely overtired was often a sign of danger. Maybe you'd been running from predators, searching for food during a famine, or staying alert during a threat to your tribe. In these situations, falling into deep sleep could literally be fatal. So our brains evolved a failsafe. When exhaustion reaches extreme levels, assume there's danger and maintain vigilance at all costs. This hyperarousal state that feels so torturous in our modern bedrooms was actually a sophisticated survival mechanism. Your ancestors who could stay alert during genuine crises lived to pass on their genes. Those who fell into deep sleep at the wrong moment didn't. The problem is that our modern sources of extreme fatigue, work stress, information overload, artificial light, social pressures, trigger the same ancient alarm system. Your brain can't distinguish between "I stayed up late finishing a presentation" and "there's a hungry saber-toothed tiger nearby." Both scenarios activate the same hardwired response: stay awake, stay alert, survive. Recent neuroscience research has uncovered another piece of this puzzle. Your brain operates using large-scale networks that need to smoothly hand off control from one to another. There's the default mode network that's active when you're daydreaming, the attention networks that engage when you're focused on tasks, and the salience network that decides what deserves your attention. For healthy sleep, these networks need to perform a carefully choreographed dance. The attention networks need to quiet down, the default mode network needs to take over, and then eventually specialized sleep networks need to come online. But when you're overtired and hyperaroused, this network switching becomes chaotic. It's like trying to change channels on a television with a broken remote. The signals get scrambled and you end up stuck between stations, getting interference from multiple sources simultaneously. Your frontoinsular cortex, which normally manages this network switching, starts malfunctioning under extreme fatigue. The result? Your brain gets trapped in a liminal state, not quite awake, not quite ready for sleep, just uncomfortably suspended between the two. Here's where the story gets even more interesting. Remember adenosine, that accumulating chemical that creates sleep pressure? Well, caffeine works by blocking adenosine receptors in your brain. It's like putting tape over the fuel gauge in your car. You're still running out of gas, but you can't see the warning signals. When you're overtired and you drink caffeine, you're essentially silencing the very system that's trying to tell your hyperaroused brain to calm down. The adenosine is still there, building up behind the biochemical blockade, but your brain can't access its calming influence. It's a bit like trying to turn down loud music while wearing noise-canceling headphones. You can't hear the volume knob being turned, so the chaos continues. This is why that late afternoon coffee can leave you wired at bedtime, even if you feel tired. Your sleep pressure is real, but your ability to access it has been chemically hijacked. Our contemporary lifestyle has turned this occasional evolutionary hiccup into a widespread epidemic. We live in what researchers call an always-on existence. Constant stimulation, artificial light, work emails at midnight, social media dopamine hits, and the persistent low-level stress of modern life. Each of these factors can trigger or maintain the hyperarousal state. Your brain, which evolved to handle occasional acute stress followed by long periods of calm, instead faces chronic, low-level activation of its danger detection systems. Blue light from screens suppresses melatonin production right when your circadian clock is trying to wind down. The endless stream of information creates what neuroscientists call cognitive load. Your brain feels like a computer with too many programs running simultaneously. Social media provides intermittent reinforcement that keeps your reward systems activated when they should be powering down. It's like trying to fall asleep in a casino. Even if you're exhausted, the environment is specifically designed to keep your arousal systems engaged. Once you're caught in the sleep paradox, it tends to perpetuate itself. Poor sleep makes you more emotionally reactive the next day, which increases stress, which makes you more likely to become hyper-aroused, which makes sleep even more elusive. Your brain also starts to develop what researchers call sleep reactivity, a heightened sensitivity to stress-induced sleep disruption. People with high sleep reactivity can have their sleep disrupted by relatively minor stressors that wouldn't bother good sleepers at all. It's like having a car alarm that becomes more sensitive over time. Eventually, a gentle breeze can set it off. Your sleep system becomes hypervigilant, interpreting normal daily stress as a threat worthy of full nighttime alertness. But here's the remarkable thing about understanding this paradox. Knowledge itself can be therapeutic. When you realize that your tired but wired state isn't a personal failing but rather an ancient survival system misfiring in a modern context, it becomes less frightening and more manageable. Your brain's hyperarousal response, however frustrating, represents millions of years of evolutionary fine-tuning designed to keep your ancestors alive. The same neural circuits that prevent sleep when you're overtired are the ones that helped humanity survive its most challenging periods. The solution isn't to fight against these systems. They're far too ancient and powerful for that. Instead, it's about learning to work with them, recognizing the triggers that activate hyperarousal, and creating conditions that allow your brain to feel safe enough to power down. The sleep paradox reveals something profound about the human condition in the 21st century. We've created a world that constantly activates our most primitive survival systems, then wonder why we can't achieve the deep rest that our sophisticated brains require. Understanding this paradox is more than just sleep science. It's a window into how our ancient biology intersects with modern life. It reminds us that we're not just rational beings who should be able to fall asleep on command. We're the products of millions of years of evolution, carrying within our skulls the same alarm systems that kept our ancestors alive on the African savanna. Perhaps the most profound insight from sleep neuroscience is this: your brain's primary job isn't to make you comfortable or well-rested. Its primary job is to keep you alive. Sometimes those two goals conflict, and when they do, survival instincts always win. The next time you find yourself staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., exhausted but unable to sleep, remember that your brain isn't broken. It's just being very, very careful. Your hyper-aroused neurons, your vigilant locus coeruleus, your elevated stress hormones, they're all working exactly as designed, standing guard in case that saber-toothed tiger decides to make an appearance. The question isn't how to override these systems, it's how to convince them that it's safe to stand down. And that, perhaps, is the real art of sleep in the modern world. Not just managing tiredness, but managing the ancient fears that keep us awake despite our exhaustion. In our quest to optimize everything, we sometimes forget that we're not machines that can be simply powered down. We're biological creatures with deep evolutionary programming, carrying the wisdom and paranoia of countless generations in our neural circuits. The sleep paradox isn't just about sleep. It's a reminder that understanding ourselves requires understanding our past. Every neuron that keeps you awake when you're overtired is a testament to the ancestors who survived because they stayed vigilant when rest seemed most tempting. Perhaps learning to sleep well in the modern world isn't about conquering our biology, but about befriending it, acknowledging these ancient systems while gently teaching them that tonight, at least, we're safe enough to dream.